What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be taking a look at this. This is a machine that was donated recently to us and it's not actually that bad. Yes, it's in a bit of a janky case. Yes, we have a bit of a janky fan and we have all the traits of an old gaming PC. We've got lots of dust, a decrepit old CD drive, which I'm not really sure why anybody uses them anymore, a power supply that barely actually runs, and we've got lots of ketchup and mustard. But this system's actually pretty good inside. So what we wanted to do today was actually give it a bit of a makeover instead of just tearing it down for parts. So before we start tearing it down, let's take a look at some of the components we've got. Inside we have a pretty high-end motherboard, some naked RAM sticks, which should be around 16 gigabytes, but we'll check that when we tear down, and some kind of 4th gen Intel processor. Now we know that 4th gen Intel processors are not really that good anymore. They're starting to show their age, but some of them actually compete quite well. So it'd be really interesting to see what we've got. Now this system would have been built around 2014, looking at the actual components in there, and it doesn't look like it's actually been cleaned at all. Underneath that dust we do have some high-end components. So let's take a look at tearing it down and see what we've actually got. So now that we've got the system torn down, we're going to take a look first at the things that we're not going to use. To begin with, we're going to get rid of this case. Now it's actually a pretty decent case. There's no glass panel or anything like that, but it would make a superb case for some kind of server. You've got plenty of space for hard drives. Obviously it will fit pretty much any kind of motherboard. Along with the case, we're also going to get rid of the power supply. It's a Super Flower 550 watt. I don't know how old it is, probably since the system was made. So we're going to make sure that we change that too. Of course, we're going to get rid of this DVD drive. We don't use them anymore. And the case that we're going to be putting this in doesn't even have a slot for it anyway. So we'll ditch that first. Next is the CPU cooler. Now this is the cooler that actually came off the motherboard and it's pretty janky. It's obviously worn over time and everything's been stretched. And if we take this fan off, we can see the amount of dust inside this system is absolutely disgusting pretty much, and so is the fan as well. Now we could clean this up and we may do that, fix the brackets and use it on something else later, but for now we're going to get rid of that on this system. After that, obviously we have the RAM sticks. Now there are two strangely odd sticks of RAM in here. They're 8 gig each and they are 1600 megahertz sticks, so they're probably matched in some kind of way, but we're not going to trust that. We're actually going to ditch them too. Now underneath all of that old dusty kind of components, we've got something that's actually pretty decent. First up, the graphics card. This is an R9 290 and we've been doing recent videos on this already where we actually took it from a graphics card that overheated to something that will actually play pretty well. That's already all cleaned up and ready to go, so we don't need to take a look at that. Next up we have the motherboard. Now this motherboard, underneath all the dust, is actually pretty decent. It is a Z97 Gaming 3 from MSI and it actually matches the graphics card really well. All of the theming pretty much goes with it, so it's going to be cool to be able to keep them together. And for the CPU, we finally managed to figure out what that is. In this system there is a i5 4690K, so that's actually a pretty good overclocker as well if we wanted to do that kind of thing. Next we need to actually clean this board up and then we'll start looking at the new parts we're going to replace. Now once upon a time this machine was actually pretty premium. It would have cost somebody a pretty penny back when it was made. So as part of our makeover we wanted to make sure that we followed that kind of theme. And in my opinion, nothing screams more than premium than a fractal case. Now this is a Fractal Mesh FIC. It's actually one of my favourite cases of all time. And I actually have a number of machines sitting in these. You get plenty of airflow and they're not badly priced anymore, but they do look super premium. In terms of RAM, we're going to ditch those two 8 gig sticks and we're actually going to be fitting 4 8 gig sticks. Now I managed to pick these up from eBay for just a low price of £20. It was one of those kind of great auctions where it just went straight on for buy now and I managed to get it. So in this system, we're going to be running 32 gigs of DDR1600. Now the one thing that this system didn't come with was actually a hard drive, which is fair enough because most people take them out anyway. But this motherboard is actually so high end for the day, it actually comes with an M.2 slot. So instead of going for something like a SATA and adding extra cabling in just to make things awkward for us, we decided to actually drop an M.2 in here. Now, unfortunately, the board does only support specific ones because I believe it is a Gen 2 slot. But we managed to find something that actually works in the sense of a 1 terabyte Western Digital SATA M.2, and it works perfectly fine. Of course, when it comes to cooling, we wanted to give it a bit more of a premium look, as well as trying to match in with the brand system there. So we've decided to go for an MSI Core Liquid 240R AIO. And these are actually pretty cool looking, so I can't wait to see this on the system, and particularly when we kind of theme it up as well. Then to power everything, we want to go for something a little bit more premium, really something that will actually blend into the system. So we've opted for a Fractal Iron Plus 560p. This is a platinum, fully modular power supply, and I find them absolutely fantastic to work with because the cable systems on them are so flexible, you can pretty much bend them around anything. So these are the parts we're going to be using to give this system a premium makeover, so now it's time to actually get it built. Now that our build is done, we can actually see that it actually looks superb. It's really brought this old system back to life. There's a few additions that we did that we never mentioned before. One is the actual braided cables, and the reason that we did that is because we thought it looked nice and we found them in a box, so why not? We've also installed into this a bit of a stand here for the GPU because it still suffered from a bit of GPU sag, so that's taken the sag out of it, and because it's black you can't really tell it's there that much, but it looks pretty good. Now, we haven't done any kind of benchmarking with this system because this video was all about how to actually do a makeover on a system, and I hope you agree that it does look superb now. Going forward though, we will be doing some videos on the performance, particularly of the GPU itself, so make sure you subscribe if you want to be able to see that. Drop us a like on this video if you like the kind of content and want us to do more, and we'll catch you in the next one.